What's going on, guys? We are here to talk about the winter majors. Now, before we get into that, I just got a green screen. I'm playing around with the chroma key, so it might bug out a little bit. It's not perfect yet. Just want to let you know in case you see a gaping hole in my forehead. Don't worry, it's still there. It's just the chroma key. Trying to figure it out. Have to get some more lights going on here. But let's get into it. Winter split majors. We can finally talk about it. Thank you. All right. Let's scroll on down, because that's all that matters. We all know they were coming in February. We all know it wasn't going to be a LAN, right, for the most part. 12 teams is that key number. And there it is. Same as Split 1, where we cut it in half. And then we continue with the same format. 12-team double elimination, once again. What that means is also with the grid wildcard, which we'll get into, where it's one from the top 6 now. Grid wildcard has a very good shot at making it in. And then it'll be top 11 from Rlcs X points for NA and EU. For OC and Sam, I believe they just do top 12 in Rlcs. I'm not sure exactly. So don't pay attention to me about OC and Sam because, there's better people for that. But $100,000 prize pools on the table for both North America and Europe. And then OC and Sam will get $25,000 each. That is what is happening. Now, the dates below. OCE. It's February 5th and 6th. That is Friday night, Saturday night for the people over here in the States. 5 p.m. Pacific time would be 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then obviously Australian EDT. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's fake. That'll be at noon on February 6th and February 7th for them. So that'll be on Saturday and Sunday for them. For us over here, it'll be Friday and Saturday night. Follow that. So each region has their own weekend. Last time around, we did a Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing where it's like South America, North America, Europe, or Europe, then North America. Now we're changing it up to just every weekend will be its own region. So OC, that is weekend number 1. Next weekend right after that, South America, they will be playing on February 13th and 14th. They start the same time as Europe normally starts, so definitely come check it out for that. And then the European Regional Major will be the following weekend after that. And then North America will close it out once again, which they've been doing pretty much this whole RLCSX season. That'll be the 27th and 28th. So that is what's going on there. Now let's talk about exactly what's happening. Now, for the major, it's 2-day events, obviously. There will be a B stream on the first day, and then the following day, maybe even a C stream. Who knows? Who knows? But at least a B stream on the first day. Then the following day will just be on the major streams to round it all out. At least for NA in Europe. I think that's what it says here. All happening while the second day will broadcast exclusively on the main Rocket League channel. So I guess that's those for OC and Sam. So that should be fun. Now, what we really want to talk about, if I do this right, okay, is the points. So let's go over Europe first, because Europe's basically done. I say basically because they're in the grid actually right now while we do this video. So let's take a look. So this is winter split points. So we'll see who is in, who is not right now. So top 11 will make it in, and this is where it gets interesting because there's 4 teams tied for that last spot. So BDS, obviously, all the way down the line until you get to this 9th place spot. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, which is very, very important, are all tied. That also means like teams outside of that, they can only get in through the grid. Team Liquid, Team Singularity, Wolves, and so on and so forth. So Solary, because that 1 second goal that they missed, they're missing out on the major, basically. That is a huge, huge a downside for them. I guess I should be on the other side of the screen, but I'm not going to move it now. So, as we look here, there's 4 teams tied. Now, there's a couple things that can happen. You got Endpoint, Guild, Redemption, and Team Denied up there. So, if any of these guys get the grid wildcard, which is the best team out of the top 6 that is not in the major, then we don't need tiebreaks. We'll be perfectly fine. It's not a big deal. If none of those teams get the wild card, but no one else gets the wild card, so it's all teams above them from 1 through 8. If they are like all the teams top of the grid, then we don't need a tiebreaker. But if both of those don't happen, which the likelihood that happens is Team Singularity would be the team that grabs the grid wildcard. They would bump up. They would be in. One of those teams has to go home, which basically means a 4-way tiebreaker where you do like the loser moves on until one team loses twice. then they will be out of the major. So that is how it would all work out. I'm not sure exactly how it'll all play out in the tiebreakers, but that's the general likelihood. That's what you would do for a four-way tie, because you always want to play for those spots. So that's what's happening in Europe. Let's take a look at the grid points so I can kind of talk you through that. Now, these are going to be updating kind of right now because of what's going on in the last grid, which started today, will finish tomorrow, so then we'll know who our 12 teams are. And then NA, obviously, they're doing their last tournament coming up, so we'll know after that. We'll talk about NA in a second. So you have right now, we got Dignitas in first, but they're already in the major. Top Oaks, Galaxy Race, so they're all in the major right now. Redemption is not. They're in that tiebreaker scenario. Team Singularity is not. They're just outside of it, so they could grab the spot. Guild's in that tiebreak spot, and Point's in that tiebreak spot. So it's like so many teams are so incredibly close. Then if like Vitality, Giants, or BDS, who are three of the strongest teams in Europe, if they have good days, that they can knock all those guys out, and then we wouldn't even have to worry about it, right? So a lot of things can happen right now. Let's take a look at what's going on during this week's grid, and then we can kind of talk about that. A control tab should work. Did I break it? No. Okay. Here we go. So let's take a look. Groups are being played out right now for week 4. Are we in week 4? I just want to make sure we are. We are in week 4. So looks like most of the groups are done. Oh, they are all done. Okay. So Blokes already got 30 points. Dignitas only got 10 points. Team Singularity already got 20 points. Endpoint only 10. Guild only 10. Like this Group C was the group to try and gain ground on your fellow people that are near. Redemption did not win a group for the first time this entire grid, but they still got 20 points. So Redemption and Team Singularity both doing pretty well. Now let's go down here and look at what's happening. Guild versus a Vitality, Endpoint versus an Auction. All these games are going to be very, very important. Team Singularity versus Team Liquid, very important. Team Liquid, I think, is basically out of the run-in for a top 6 spot, unless they win this entire thing. But it's possible, I guess, because there is a lot of teams close. Redemption versus Triple Trouble, that's a huge one. And then Fadeaway. Fadeaway doesn't matter, so just BDS trying to keep their lives intact there. So the only team you don't see here is Team Denied. They're not in the grid, so they can't obviously get that grid wild card. And then it was what? Guild, Endpoint, and Redemption, all tied for the last spot. So playing Triple Trouble, Oxygen, and Vitality. And Redemption has 20 points. But Team Singularity is probably the closest to winning one of those top 6 spots, and they're also in there with 20 points already, and they're playing Team Liquid. So this round right here could be absolutely huge. If Team Singularity plus Redemption win, we're getting into a quarterfinal game that could literally mean if Team Singularity goes to the major. And if that does happen, then again, we talk about that 4-way tiebreaker, which, you know, we'll figure out those plans later. But could get really, really tight. So that is what's going on in Europe right now. So we know most of the teams in, but there's a 4-way tie for the last spot, depending on grid wildcard. We'll see what happens. Now let's go over to North America, where version 1 just locked up a top 6 spot, which is very, very important. So let's look at the grid rankings right now. It's hard sometimes on Wikipedia to go through them, but hey, they do a great job over there. So let's go over here. Grid rankings, winter. We're on the right tab. So top 6: Energy, G2, Space Station, Peeps, Team Envy, Rogue, version 1. They tied for 6th, but obviously, like, if it came down to it, and if it's version 1 and Rogue, and version 1 could get the grid wildcard, but no one else can, version 1 will get it. They're tied for 6th. They would be fine. They would be in. So version 1 and the Peeps are the two teams on the outside looking in. Not necessarily on the outside. They're both on the inside track for a major spot already, but if they need a scapegoat, like if they need a backdoor to get into the major, those are the teams that we're looking at very likely. Like Energy, G2, Space Station, and Envy and Rogue have virtually locked up their spots. Let's look at the rankings for that. So we'll go into this major. Again, top 12 now make it. Right now, version 1 is tied for the 11th spot with the Sonics. So once again, if they finish top 12, they would be fine. because unless Peeps like completely fall out, like Peeps are only in ninth, so Peeps are not that far up. But when we look at the rest of the top 6, they're all near the top. They're the top 5 teams in points. Team Envy, Energy, Rogue, Space Station, and G2. They're all safe. Very likely. Like, but sure, maybe some weird things could happen and that they could be out of top 12. I don't even think that's possible. Maybe for G2, and that's about it. But we're not going to talk about that right now. A virtual lock, we'll say, for those top 5 teams. Then it's Peeps and version 1. So the way you would work is if Peeps somehow drop out of the top 12, they will get a wild card spot. So no matter what, Peeps are going to the major. No matter what. You don't have to worry about anything there. Because they will get that grid wild card unless, again, a G2 fell out. Which I think Peeps actually... I'm sorry. I have to go back to their rankings. The Peeps, they finished behind G2. So it would only be if G2 somehow they fell out of the top 12, which is like near impossible, would the Peeps not be in. So I don't want to say like guarantee just in case, but you know, like I didn't do the math for that, but you know, pretty much locked. So Peeps, they'll be at the major. What it comes down to is version 1. Version 1, like if they finish top 11, they're in. They don't have to worry about anything. If they finish top 12, or not even top 12, like if they have the Peeps finish top 11, then version 1 will also be in to the major. So that is the one caveat there. If version 1 does really anything else, it doesn't really matter. Like if Peeps and version 1 both fall out of the top 11, that's the only way version 1 does not go through if they're not, like if they're both out of the top 11, Peeps will grab that spot. So that is the grid wildcard in a nutshell. Most of these teams probably locked. Like I would say in terms of playoff implication here, the Sonics are right on the fringe. Obviously, they need a good showing, at least a day 3 finish, and we'll see what else they need. Like an E United needs a lot of points, but they just need 30 points to catch up. They basically need one place higher than wherever the Sonics will fall to. Loco still in the running. I'm not even sure if they made it. I assume they did. I haven't really looked at the open qualifier part yet. But it's looking like very likely like E United, Loco, the Sonics version 1 are the ones fighting for those spots for top 11. And then one thing I want to note is if Peeps and version 1 both complete the top 11 push, then it'll just take the 12th place team in RLCS X points. So for the Sonics, even if they lost out to version 1, but they kept the 12th spot, they'll be fine, as long as Peeps are up there too. So there's a lot of playoff scenarios going on here, but we'll have our 12 teams go into the major at the end of February for North America. Europe is the week prior to that. It's going to be a good time. Double the points. Heading into spring split, we're going down to the final stretch for the top 6 in each of these regions. And then obviously OC and Sam are also going to be playing it out as well for very important points there where, like, we've seen crazy teams win in OCE before and then they catapult to a top 2 spot. So it's going to be interesting. Going to be a good time. Definitely watch this weekend, twitch.tv/Rocket League. I won't be there this weekend, but I'll be there the following weekend. But, you know, Leaf will keep you up to tabs. Like, I'll try and tell the boys exactly what needs to happen. Shouldn't be too hard. But yeah, that'll do it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully the green screen kind of held up, but we're going to play around with it a little bit more and add some more lights. So yeah. All right. That's it. Goodbye. Adios. Love you. Have a good one.